Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso at thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below, the direct purchase and pricing question line for your questions about this or any watch you see here on Watchbox Reviews, tmosso at thewatchbox.com. And today we are discussing a dress watch that came out in 2012. This is the Lange Sohne Saxonia Thin, 40 millimeters in white gold. The watch is extraordinarily only 6 millimeters thick, and from lug to lug across the wrist, measuring 46.5 millimeters, with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. A simple, black, semi-gloss, large rectangular scale alligator leather strap with folded edges and a monotone stitch, and on the underside, calfskin, unmarred. It is a brand new Lange factory strap. It includes the Lange white gold pin buckle, which is a thoughtful piece. We'll zoom in real quick, talk about the details, as it features fastening outboard, the Lange branding on the top, a little recess for the pin inside the buckle, and then of course we have the elevated bridge over the center, so the strap sits inside the buckle rather than stacking up underneath it when it's on the wrist. There's also a retaining bar here, so if you use the smaller holes or you even punch smaller holes still, you won't get the watch stuck on your wrist. It prevents the strap from getting pinned on the pin. It's a brilliant detail on a detail-oriented watch. As you can see, a simple but strong case flank defined by its satin-finished mid-case, polished lips to the case back as well as the bezel, with the lugs broken out distinctively and sharply from the case band, a Lange styling signature since the arrival of modern Lange wristwatches in 1994. A simple Lange branded crown, and as you can see, it is slender like the watch itself. The bezel features a conical vertical sort of dichotomy, as you have this sort of conical arc from the top that bends over to the crystal, and then you have this vertical segment that is entirely cylindrical. It's vertical, and then it has a sort of domed cone-like profile, giving way to a dial that is deceptively detailed. So what you have here is a set of white gold faceted and polished applique indices, and outboard of those white gold and polished cabochon. So you have a double index dial, there's a double bar and a double dot up at 12 o'clock. We have polished and pinched alpha style hands at center. The dial base itself is sterling silver, so it's a sterling silver dial base that is then galvanized, the silver opaline tone you see here. We have a wonderful vaulted Lange Sohne script up at the top to trace the arc of the inner bezel in the dial, and then likewise you can see made in Germany down at 6 o'clock is arced to trace the inner bezel. The inner bezel is satin finished to provide a soft glow onto the dial itself. Turn it all over, and you can see one of the core selling points of any Lange watch is the movement. You almost wish you could wear it upside down. The nuts and the bolts, 21 jewels adjusted in 5 positions like a chronometer, manual wind, 21,600 vibration per hour beat rate, and a 72-hour power reserve. All of that water resistant down to 30 meters. Now, a few styling traits you'll note. Lange paying homage to the era of Saxon pocket watches. So you have the 3/4 style bridge with the barrel and the entire powertrain all the way down to the escape wheel. You have the 3/4 bridge as well as the half bridge for the balance, and the plates constructed of the material known as German silver, which is nickel, copper, and zinc, with the copper giving it the golden hue. You have glasuta stripes across the bridge, engine turned perlage on the base plate. As you can see, there is mirrored anglage on the edge of every bridge. It glints, it gleams, it is optically smooth and rounded. It is not a machined bevel. You can also see that we have both fired blued screws as well as polished or black polished screws. We have more black polish on the swan's neck regulator mechanism and the cap for the escape wheel, and finally we have pivot jewels pressed into golden chaton and then fixed in place by fired blue screws, that is, blue screws that are kiln oxidized, and these chaton are present to pay homage once again to the pocket watch era when machining standards weren't quite as high and tolerances weren't quite as tight. So you would create a rough machined hole into the bridges and the plates, and then you would actually press the jewel into a golden chaton and fix that in place with screws. A handsome movement in a handsome watch, and incredibly slender, as you can see. A truly impressive timepiece from its 40 millimeter white gold case to that caliber L0931. A manufacturer product inside and out, and one of the greats of modern high horology. Also a bit of an underrated brand. Throw it on my wrist real quick, we'll take a look, feel it. It's 6 millimeters thick. It sits almost below my wrist hair. At 40 millimeters, it has a nice, handsome, and broad presence for a compact watch. And as you can see, 46.5 millimeters across the wrist. Easy to wear. I can recommend it for a wrist as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference. And if that sounds like your wrist, email me, tmosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.